as far as, is he going to turn people in? Is he going to cooperate? If the federal government wants him to cooperate and they're going to cut his time, because right now he's looking at 15 to life with all the charges he had to. He won't get out till 70 years old. He about 70. That's when they start talking about letting him come to a halfway house.
It began like a faint murmur swallowed by thunder. Gene Dill, the man who once stood at Diddy's side as his bodyguard, has emerged with claims sharp enough to shake the foundation of hip-hop's highest tier. In his telling, Jay-Z was never truly Diddy's ally, not for a moment. The tailored suits, the photo-op smiles, the rehearsed camaraderie backstage, just smoke veiling a rivalry built on calculation. And if Gene's version is accurate, Diddy's fall from grace may not have been bad luck at all, but the endgame of a betrayal years in the making, he alleges. Jay-Z was quietly funneling information to federal agents, treating his so-called friendship with Diddy like a business transaction.
You understand? I think that they don't want, if they was in any of those freak-off tapes, if they played a part in any of those Diddy sessions, they don't want it to get out to the general public to make up their brand.
If that's true, then Diddy's arrest wasn't just an unfortunate twist of fate. It was a trap sprung with precision by a man he once clinked champagne glasses with. This wasn't a feud between two moguls competing for space. It was a slow-motion strike, the kind of treachery that coils in the dark for decades before it strikes. Gene describes the two men not as friends, but as predators circling the same territory. Jay-Z, the strategist, calculated, unshaken, always, immaculate against Diddy, who thrived on spectacle, speed and risk, blinded by his own sense of invincibility. What's surfacing now is the idea that the game was skewed from the start. Jay-Z, smiling for the cameras, may have been moving pawns in secret, ensuring that others stumbled while he stayed spotless. He didn't need to be present when the walls closed in on Diddy. All he needed was for the right voices to whisper the wrong things in the ears of the right people. There are also murmurings about Jay-Z's so-called hidden network.
And I'm not saying allegedly.
Oh. Okay.
I'm saying, Sean Carter, you're a piece of shit. Taking Pimp C wasn't bad enough. You just want to go down there and you want to just remove all of the balls from every real gangster in Houston.
Of fixers who allegedly specialized in unearthing weaknesses and making troublesome problems disappear without a trace. If this shadow team really existed, some believe they could have been instrumental in silencing key figures during Diddy's most perilous chapters, perhaps even laying the groundwork for his eventual takedown. The timeline itself feels haunting. Whispers suggest Jay-Z's alleged double-cross wasn't reactive but part of a blueprint drafted long ago, back when their careers first began to overlap in New York's undercurrent. One night in particular is often pointed to the gathering at Dow in Los Angeles, where Jay-Z and Diddy shared a table with Kathy White and Claudia Jordan. That meeting is remembered as a spark that ignited a dangerous thread. Kathy White, a glamorous publicist and fitness figure deeply connected in the industry, was caught in a storm between these two giants. Her name resurfaces again and again, her story shadowed by how abruptly it ended. There were whispers she had started speaking to a major tabloid just weeks before her death, hinting she had explosive truths about Jay-Z. Insiders claim she even placed a call.
If you're a halfway intelligent person, when do you start questioning how lucky some keep getting?
Right.
To Jay, declaring she was ready to go public for a price. Then, almost as if by design, the spotlight swerved. Less than 2 days later, Beyoncé's pregnancy reveal at the VMAs dominated every headline, and Kathy was gone. No autopsy surfaced for public record. The toxicology results disappeared into silence. A woman who might have pulled the curtain back on one of the industry's most guarded secrets was erased as quickly as she appeared. Her death was written off as an aneurysm, the kind of medical event that can strike out of nowhere, but even the NYPD called the circumstances uncertain at the time. Whispers in the industry say Kathy White didn't really have enemies, except for what she might have been ready to reveal. A former Stars magazine editor claims that Kathy initially denied any connection with Jay-Z, but when confronted with photos of her alongside both Jay and Diddy in Las Vegas, she shifted and began weighing the idea of a Then, almost overnight, she stopped showing up to work. It wasn't until a close friend delivered the news. Kathy was gone. Claudia Jordan, her confidant and nightlife companion, has stayed quiet publicly, but a blind item from Crazy Days and Nights suggested Claudia firmly believed Jay-Z wanted.
I want you to think about this. Allegedly, Sean Carter is responsible for enacting Hype Williams to put Aaliyah on a faulty plane to move her out the way as punishment for rejecting him. And so he could level up Beyonce, who was struggling.
Kathy out of the way. The wording was chilling. He wanted her gone, and soon after she was. Coincidence? Perhaps. But when tied to rumors of Jay-Z's deep ties to law enforcement and even whispers about influence over medical examiners, it starts to feel deliberate. That's not just lyrical bravado. That's what a former tabloid editor said after their attempt to run the Kathy story got killed by forces above their pay grade. Let's not kid ourselves into thinking Jay-Z has always been spotless. He's admitted to his hustler days and even confessed to stabbing producer Lance Rivera in a nightclub back in the 90s, a case that disappeared from headlines almost as quickly as it surfaced. In 2001, he was quietly arrested for illegal gun possession, yet the press barely made a sound. But the real conversation isn't about street-level drama. Insiders say Jay mastered the art of never touching the dirt himself. He outsourced. And if Kathy was about to ignite something dangerous beneath his empire, maybe someone made sure the fire never caught. The timeline only deepened suspicion. Around that same period, Aaliyah's tragic story was still echoing, and Beyoncé's solo career hadn't yet exploded.
By the way, wasn't this all around the time when Aaliyah
Yeah.
and Beyonce's solo career was struggling?
Some industry voices believe Beyoncé herself wasn't immune to the optics of what was unfolding. One of the wilder theories suggests Kathy's silence wasn't just about protecting Jay-Z, was about protecting the brand. A scandal landing at the exact moment of Beyoncé's highly publicized baby announcement would have been catastrophic, especially when skeptics were already whispering that the pregnancy was staged, that a surrogate had been lined up to preserve her image and marketability. Stack Kathy's timing on top of that, and it all starts to feel less like chance and more like choreography. And Kathy's name isn't the only one shadowed in mystery. Kim Porter, long linked to Diddy, was also found lifeless under unclear conditions. Singer Jaguar Wright later went on record claiming Diddy had a hand in Kim's fate, but added something even more startling. Sean Carter's worse. He's smarter. That single line sticks because it paints Jay-Z not as a man with blood on his hands, but as someone who ensures others get dirty while he stays untouchable. The deeper you follow the thread,
The more blowing up cars.
Yeah.
Is he this gangster that behind the scenes is that him? Or is that people
Shout
around?
out to Wendy Williams.
twisted it becomes. Stories of hidden tapes, blackmail, and a calculated struggle for dominance between Diddy and Jay-Z keep resurfacing. Jay may have helped open doors for Diddy once, but if Gene Dill's claims hold water, he was also planting traps from the very beginning. Some believe it wasn't just ambition but survival, that dismantling Diddy was the only way Jay could protect his own secrets from being exposed, because Kathy wasn't the only one rumored to have leverage. In the end, the line between truth and speculation blurs. The industry thrives on silence, and silence is exactly what Jay-Z has always commanded. To the outside world, Diddy's fall looks like the collapse of a legend. But what if it's simply another well-placed move in Jay-Z's larger strategy? If he really has been feeding the feds, orchestrating setups, and buying loyalty.
Just different things that's not really beef though. That's just competitive. energy, you know?
Competitiveness. All right, so you and Diddy, you and Puff cool?
No, I don't really rock with him
okay,
like that.
damn, all right.
Then the question becomes, how many other stories, how many other lives, have been buried to keep his throne secure? The shockwaves from Jay-Z's supposed betrayal didn't just dismantle Diddy's empire, they may have reshaped the very blueprint of the music business. To the public eye, it looked like an era where hip-hop kings each claimed their throne. But beneath the surface, it was less a brotherhood and more a silent war. Alliances forged in private, betrayals whispered in boardrooms, artists trapped between two giants. And Jay, he played the role of strategist flawlessly, placing himself at the center of the board, immune to scandal, protected from backlash. While Diddy chased the spotlight with wild parties and headline-grabbing stunts, Jay was constructing something sturdier, fortress, brick by brick. Inside the industry, there's a growing belief that Jay-Z isn't just wealthy, he's untouchable. He's entrenched in institutions, married to global pop royalty and connected to tech moguls, art elites, politicians, and billionaires. His value runs so deep that to call him out feels unthinkable. And when someone does, they either get ignored, drowned out, or vanish from relevance entirely. In some cases, the whisper suggests they disappear in more permanent ways. Not everyone has kept quiet, though. When 50 Cent...
His sister-in-law on camera. What's her name? Solange. You gotta answer. The feds ain't step in and do nothing. The feds don't care about you getting your ass whooped. It's those other things that come under
Jay's so-called loyalty to Diddy after the arrest. It didn't sound like trolling. It felt like a crack in the wall, a coded warning, friends to the end. Jay, are you still there? That wasn't shade, it was a shot across the bow still. The real silence traces back to Kathy White. Her last days don't read like a natural tragedy. They read like an unsolved riddle locked away on purpose. She was young, ambitious, and on the verge of pulling the lid off something bigger than she could control. Reports say Kathy told a major tabloid she had dirt on Jay-Z and intended to go public. She even phoned him directly, allegedly asking for payment in exchange for silence. Those claims come from people tied to the outlet itself. Less than 48 hours later, she collapsed, was rushed to the hospital, and never came back. Doctors called it an aneurysm. Case closed. Except it wasn't. Because the autopsy was sealed, toxicology results never surfaced, and the story quietly evaporated. Friends raised alarms. An insider from the scene said the pieces didn't fit the timing, the cover-up, the eerie quiet from mainstream outlets that normally would have devoured such a scandal. A handful tried to dig deeper, Hollywood street king among them, but the more they pressed, the heavier the pushback. An LA publicist who spoke,
Whoever talks about best of both worlds, nobody talks about that.
Nobody talks about this shit.
Nobody talks about that project.
Swept that smooth under the rug.
Why?
anonymously claimed Kathy spent her final days paranoid and on edge, convinced she was being watched, cornered, and silenced before she could speak. And hanging over all of it was the person with the most to lose, Beyoncé. The timing still chills people. Kathy's sudden death unfolded right after Beyoncé's now iconic pregnancy reveal at the VMAs, a masterstroke moment designed to eclipse everything else in the news cycle. And it worked. No one was talking about Kathy. But behind that staged reveal, insiders claimed the pressure was boiling over. A scandal was ready to ignite, and Kathy was the spark. That pregnancy reveal, was it pure joy, or was it a calculated distraction meant to smother a fire before it caught? This doesn't mean Beyoncé pulled strings directly, but the whispers paint her as far more than just the graceful performer we see on stage. Some insiders describe her as the quiet executor, the one who ensures nothing damaging leaks. One industry veteran said she's ice cold when needed. Another insisted she knows every detail and nothing escapes unless she wants it out. That explains why she's adored in the spotlight.
Weirdo. I don't get no what you got in your head, that neural link. You'll never outthink me. Ever.
But nearly invisible when controversies flare. She doesn't need to respond. Others handle that for her, or perhaps make sure the noise dies down before it even reaches her. Maybe Kathy didn't realize just how impenetrable the walls around Jay and Beyoncé were. Maybe she thought she could play against them and win. But what if this was never just about saving face? What if it was about eliminating a threat completely? Diddy was always brash, always messy, with scandals playing out like circus acts. Jay's kingdom wasn't built on noise, it was built on silence. And silence, in his hands, looks less like passivity and more like strategy. Gene Deal's accusations that Jay quietly handed information to the FBI don't sound so far-fetched in that context. Because when you look at how spotless Jay-Z's reputation has remained while chaos swallowed everyone around him, the question isn't whether he played the game. The question is how many moves ahead he really was. If Jay-Z really did funnel information to the feds about Diddy, the question becomes, was